Have you ever noticed how two people can earn the same amount of money, invest similar amounts, and still end up in completely different places? One of them feels calm, steady, in control. The other feels stressed, uncertain, constantly second-guessing every decision. From the outside, it looks like one person just made better investments. But most of the time, that's not what's happening. The real difference is quieter than that. It's not how much they invested. It's the order they did things in. And once you see it, it explains a lot of frustration people feel around money. My name is Alex. I spend a lot of time thinking about why smart, responsible people still feel anxious about investing, even when they're doing what they're told. This topic is often misunderstood because it feels technical, when it's actually psychological. Most people never realize that starting in the wrong order quietly creates stress they blame on the market or themselves. If you find yourself thinking about money in this slower, more reflective way, you might want to subscribe. And with that in mind, let's talk about why the order you invest matters more than the amount. Most investing advice focuses on numbers, how much you should invest, what percentage to allocate, which accounts are best. And while those details matter, they miss the deeper issue. Because investing doesn't fail people mathematically most of the time. It fails them emotionally. People don't stop investing because the math didn't work. They stop because the stress did. They start too early, too fast, or in the wrong place. They feel pressure they weren't ready for. They panic when life interrupts their plan. And then they conclude that investing isn't for them. But what actually went wrong wasn't their discipline or intelligence. It was the sequence. There's a reason this happens. Amount feels concrete. Order feels abstract. It's comforting to ask, how much should I invest? Because it sounds precise. It feels like there's a correct answer. But where should my money go first? Is messier. It forces you to think about risk, stability, and your real life. So most people skip that question entirely. They jump straight to investing because that's what progress is supposed to look like. And in doing so, they build their financial life on an unstable foundation. Let's talk about what this actually looks like. Imagine someone who starts investing aggressively because they don't want to fall behind. They put money into the market, feel good about it, and tell themselves they're finally doing the right thing. Then, something happens. The car breaks down. A medical bill shows up. Work becomes uncertain. Suddenly, that invested money feels distant, untouchable. And because there's no buffer elsewhere, stress creeps in. They're not worried about the market. They're worried about liquidity. Now every market dip feels personal. Every headline feels threatening. Not because the investment is bad, but because the order created fragility. This is how people become long-term investors who secretly hope the market doesn't move at all. Early money has one main job. It's not to grow. It's not to impress. It's not to outperform anything. Its job is to protect you from panic. Before money can work for you financially, it has to work for you emotionally. That means creating space between you and emergencies. It means absorbing shocks so your investments don't have to. This is why the order matters. When you skip this step, you turn investing into a source of pressure instead of support. Fragility is when small disruptions create outsized stress. If a surprise expense forces you to rethink your entire plan, your system is fragile. If a market downturn makes you question everything, your system is fragile. Fragility doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means your foundation isn't ready yet. The problem is that investing advice rarely talks about fragility. It assumes a level of stability most people don't actually have. So people blame themselves for reacting normally to an unstable setup. When you invest in the right order, something subtle but powerful happens. You stop feeling like every decision has to be perfect. You're not investing from fear anymore. You're investing from excess. That changes how you react to volatility. It changes how patient you can be. It changes how much mental energy money takes up. You're no longer asking, what if I need this? You're asking, what's the smartest long-term place for this? Those are very different questions. The turning point usually isn't when your portfolio hits a certain number. It's when you realize you're no longer forced to touch it. When money is layered correctly, each layer protects the one above it. Cash protects your peace of mind. Stability protects your investments. Investments protect your future. When that order is reversed, everything feels heavier than it needs to be. But when it's aligned, investing stops feeling like a gamble and starts feeling like a process. People often say some investors are just more disciplined. But discipline is easier when your system supports you. It's easier to stay invested when you're not worried about rent. It's easier to think long-term when today's covered. It's easier to ignore noise when you're not fragile. The right order doesn't make you stronger. It makes strength unnecessary. A lot of people worry they're delaying investing by focusing on stability first. And that fear makes sense, but stability isn't delay, it's preparation. Rushing into investing without margin doesn't accelerate progress. It increases the odds of interruption. Interrupted investing is far more damaging than delayed investing, because starting and stopping repeatedly does more harm than starting a little later and staying consistent. We usually talk about compound interest as a math concept, but there's another compounding effect that matters just as much. Confidence compounds. Calm compounds. Consistency compounds. When your system is ordered correctly, these things grow quietly over time, and they support returns in ways spreadsheets can't show. If you're thinking about how to apply this, it doesn't require extreme changes. It starts with asking a different question before you invest. Not how much can I put in, but what is this money supposed to do for me right now? Some money is meant to sit still. Some money is meant to protect your sleep. Some money is meant to grow slowly over time. Problems start when we ask one type of money to do all three jobs at once. Separating those roles, even mentally, reduces stress immediately. You don't need to optimize everything. You just need to avoid building pressure into your system. The correct order rarely feels exciting. There's no rush, no dramatic leap, no sense of winning. It feels almost anticlimactic. But boring systems tend to survive, and survival is what allows growth to compound. Most people don't struggle with investing because they lack discipline or intelligence. They struggle because they were taught to focus on the wrong thing first. The amount matters, but the order decides whether the amount gets a chance to work. When money is placed in the right sequence, it stops demanding attention and starts providing support. You don't feel rich, you feel steady. And that steadiness is what allows real progress to happen over time. You don't need to rush. You don't need to get everything right immediately. You just need to build in the right order. Because when you do, money stops being something you manage constantly and starts becoming something that quietly works in the background. And that's where investing finally begins to feel sustainable.